Spencer here from Lucre Journeys, coming at you from the thawing Midwest now. All this beautiful snow is slowly starting to disappear as it's gotten above freezing for a little bit today. But considering the fact that I'm getting ready to go on a cruise in just a little while, I thought it would be fun to go over a couple of words that all cruisers should know. Now, you might already know them, you might not, but this is just out there for a little fun. First word of the day. All right, first word of the day is bow. B-O-W. Bow. It's the front of the vessel, the very front of the vessel. The next nautical word of the day, berth. B-E-R-T-H. Berth. Not to be confused with cabin. Many times individuals and even travel advisors will interchange the word cabin and the word berth. They are not the same. They should not be interchangeable. A cabin is a living quarters. A berth is the actual bed. So when you contact somebody like myself and say, I would like a cabin, we will then ask you for double occupancy if there isn't a solo program, in which case you will have 2 berths or beds. Next fun nautical word of the day for you is bow thrusters. Now, for those of you who have ever been on the ship in a cabin in the bow, all of a sudden it feels like depending on how close you are to the water line, you could feel like you're in the middle of a 2 or 3 Richter scale earthquake as you're coming in or leaving port. Those are the bow thrusters, or water jets, traditional water jets. They can be external propellers, but in most of the big ships, they're water jets that they use to maneuver the ship when it is going very slow. The next nautical word of the day. Let's go for the word bridge. The bridge. Now, for you Star Trek fans and other individuals who watch a lot of the action movies, the bridge, as you know, is where they house the command center. That's where all the officers are. That's where they pretty much drive the ship from. The bridge can be extremely impressive, and if you ever get the opportunity to do a behind the scenes on any of the cruise ships, take that excursion because it is an awesome and extremely insightful excursion. I'd like to introduce bridge wing. All right, and as you can probably guess, the bridge wing is extensions off of the bridge or the pilot house, depending on the size of the vessel you're on. In this case, though, it's those bits that look like they're flying off into space, almost like cantilevers, that allow the bridge personnel or the officers to look down either side of the ship, and there's actually a window below their feet. They can look straight down to help maneuver the ship when they're coming in and out of port. I'm thinking we should talk about the galley. That's right, the galley. Everybody loves the galley. For those of you who don't know, the galley is the kitchen or the space or compartment where the food is prepared and cooked. So definitely want that one on your ship. Everyone loves a nice meal. I'd like to bring to the discussion table the word gangway. Now, I'm hoping most of us know what a gangway is, but for those of you who are getting started in this world and don't quite know it, the gangway is that bit that you get to walk on that gets you, that you disembark and embark, or get on and get off the ship with. In most cases, it's enclosed so that you're protected from the wind and the rain, and people are normally pretty happy when they're walking up that thing because that means we're getting on the boat. I'd like to bring in pilot boat. All right, now this is one of my favorite things to do, is to watch the pilot boat. This is that little itty bitty boat that runs alongside the ship, sometimes actually runs ahead of the ship, and then waits for the cruise vessel to get into deeper water before it comes up alongside. And then if you're on the right side of the ship, or not the right as in R-I-G, as in the correct side of the ship, where they've opened up the hatch to let the pilot off or on, you can actually watch him climb down the rope ladder and jump onto this little pilot boat while everything's moving. Very exciting. They're really good at it. I'd like to bring your attention to the word aft. A-F-T. Aft. also known as the very, very back of the ship. It's easy to remember because my husband likes to always make the joke that I have a very nice aft. The next words I'd like to bring, nautical words I'd like to bring to your attention, there's actually two of them today. Starboard and port side. Starboard side and port side. I know most of us have heard this at some point, but were you aware that the port side is the left of the ship and the starboard is the right? And I can remember this myself because the word port and the word left both only have 4 letters in the word. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an edge. So when you hear somebody say the port side or the starboard side, you'll have a better idea of what they're talking about, especially if they're indicating where the really good restaurants are. The next nautical term I wanted to bring to your attention for when you finally get to go on that cruise ship is the word knots. Knots, K-N-O-T-S, not the knots you tie in your shoes, but knots as in the speed that your vehicle is going. You will hear the captain mention that we're going 15 knots, we're going 16 knots. Well, that's how many, and the knots translates roughly into 1.15 miles per hour. So it's not exactly a nice even transition between miles an hour and knots. However, they will also refer to nautical miles, which are not exactly the same as our miles. So, yeah, if you're really into it, you might want to have pen and paper, but I can give you a quick cheat. Your phone will have a translation app that all you have to do is put in knots to miles, and it'll tell you exactly how fast you're going. I'd like to bring your attention to a fun one that I know we've all heard at some point. Avast. Avast. I know if you've seen any pirate movie, if you've read any pirate book, you've heard the word avast. Well, it actually comes from the Dutch language and it means hold on. So, avast ye landlubber. Hold on. And landlubber being an individual who is not familiar with sea life. So hold on. Avast means hold on. Kind of a fun one. I still want to walk around saying it in that deep, piratey type tone. You don't... Avast. No. Avast. You gotta lower the voice. Anyway, last nautical term I think we'll do, unless you guys indicate you want some more of them. This one's kind of a fun one. It's the word posh. P-O-S-H. We've all heard it before, and most of us think it means very ritzy or fancy or elegant, but it's actually an acronym they used to use for the cruise ships in the 1800s. It means port out, starboard home. And what that basically means is when they would sail from Britain to India, the extremely wealthy individuals and the very stylish individuals would actually change cabins from the going and the coming because they wanted to avoid the cabins on the side with the sun that would heat up their cabins. All right, remember, they didn't have air conditioning back then. And so they would have the word posh stamped on their ticket, which told their room stewards that they would be on the port side or the left side of the ship going to India. So port out, starboard or right side of the ship coming home. So very interesting little fun. The nautical world is full of those little fun things.